Hey everyone, welcome. Let's code something. I want to build something that makes it a little bit more fun to watch coding streams. So here's what I want. I want something where you can get the context of what the person is coding. Like, you show up to a stream and you just see a page of code and it's like, oh, I don't want to sit there and read an entire page of code. There should be some kind of like, I don't know, map or something like that to be able to see like where you are in the code. Here's what I want, right? Like I want to show up and like before you even get deep into the code, it's what's going on? What are we looking at? What part of this? So the part where it's like what even are we building here? I feel like we can do pretty easily by doing like, titles and other things that Twitch already gives you. But like where you are in the code, that's tougher. Feels like maybe the thing to do there would be to have some sort of map of the code or have some way for people who are viewing to browse the code themselves. Now, if you're coming to Twitch instead of going to like some sort of, just cloning random projects on GitHub, you probably want this stuff to be presented to you. You don't want to be digging around in a code base. So let's talk about like how we do a map of this. And I'm going to turn it in on itself. Let's do a map of the thing that I want to build. So I'm going to be doing all of my coding in VS Code. That part I'm definitely going to want to do. And then I want something to actually show the map. Maybe I'll call it a minimap just to make it clearer sort of what it is that I'm talking about here. So all right, so I want to have some sort of a mini map. And I want the mini map to be highlighted with like what is the part that I'm currently editing. So we're going to have to do a couple of things. First of all, we're going to have to like have some conventions around like the structure of the code and how it maps to this mini map. So maybe like file by file or like workspace folder by workspace folder. What I don't want is just to have like this giant 4,000 line long file and then have to figure out how to like tell the mini map what part to highlight. So I'm just going to say that we're almost certainly going to just want some sort of extension that watches like what file is open or where in the file it's open or whatever, and then updates the minimap. All right, that's actually not bad. I think that's about all we need to start, right? So if we're working on the part that's the minimap, we want that part to be highlighted. Well, we're gonna have to show it in OBS, huh? That's another part that's missing. So we're gonna need OBS down here. Okay, so how does this work? I'm gonna say that this is gonna be OBS embeds the minimap, which means the minimap itself is gonna be like a web app, which means that it's gonna be on a web server. And that web server is going to render out this minimap thing. So I'm going to have like minimap server. And we're going to have minimap UI, which is going to be a web app. All right, so the extension's now going to talk to the server. The server's going to talk to the UI, and in this case, we're going to have to make this something where the server tells the UI to update, because it's like, okay, if I'm in VS Code and I change tabs, I'm going to want to switch which section is highlighted in the minimap. And then OBS just embeds the minimap UI. All right, well, this all seems pretty reasonable. What else am I missing? I've got a way to tell what it is that I'm working on and a way to get that into OBS. So far, so good. I guess then the other thing we're going to have to think about that's not part of this is sort of like where to put it in the frame. You know, like how I've got my webcam image here. Going to have to figure out somewhere to put like a small version of this. So I guess to get like a little placeholder UI in place so that I can actually update this thing while I'm working, let's do like a real minimal like kind of minimap UI for web. Okay, that's an interesting point. That text is going to have to get a lot bigger, huh? I can't really make out that scrawl very well. All right, so now we've got this minimap view in the actual stream. Like there's the actual little mini map there, shows you what part I'm working on, and right now how this mini map works is it's just a screenshot of this doc here. So let's figure out maybe at least the UI of how this should look as a web app. All right, so I think what we want is just we're going to have some sort of mini map here. We would like it to be able to change sort of what section you highlight. So I'm thinking we just drop the image in there. We hard code a couple of coordinates to be like, hey, here's the box representing some particular part of it. And I don't know, we take a look, see if putting like a box over it with some, yellow but like low opacity, see if that shows up okay. It's not going to look as good as with the real highlighter tool even. It'll just look kind of grayed out in yellow, if that makes any sense. But let's give that a try. Let's actually open that up as a workspace here. And the reason I want to do that is I'm probably quite soon going to want to drop in that image that we have, or in fact, I'm going to take a new one without that highlight on there. Yeah, all right. There's our image. All right, let's open this up and see how it looks. Yeah, all right. Can't argue with that. Not really. All right, so first off, we're just going to make this thing absolutely positioned. There's all kinds of great reasons that you may or may not want various things to be in the document flow or not, and margins and padding and stuff. This is not anything like that. This is just we're going to have a picture anchored to the top left so that any of the highlighting sort of boxes that we put over it are going to, you're going to be able to put them in like a particular coordinate on the screen, and that's going to be the coordinate in the image as well. So let's put in one of these, for example, and see how that works. So since I'm working on the minimap UI, I'm going to work on highlighting the minimap UI here. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so I've created this highlight element, and I've made it a 10 pixel by 10 pixel square. All right, let's try that. All right, cool. Up here, that is my highlight. Now it's mostly see-through, and let's see if I can move it over to next to the minimap UI box. I think this is the part where the smart person goes ahead and puts this into Paint or something to figure out the coordinates. Okay. I think I'm going to pretend to be a smart person for a second. No, I've got Paint. Let's do it. All right, we're going to go 470 by 32 for the origin. What happens when I select something? Does it give me the, oh, that's not selecting something at all. One more time. Select. Okay, this is better. So 233 by 160, 230 by 160, let's say. All right. Come on. Yes. It's not pretty, but it works. All right. Here's the fun part now. We get to swap out, I think we get to swap out. I was going to say we can swap out the image version of this with sort of this web based one. Uh, while we're here, I think maybe the thing to do is to just do a little bit of work on like the bare minimum server that'll just sort of serve this up statically. You may have seen other people do stuff like just use the built-in Python web server and stuff. I could do that, but I know for sure that the server I'm going to be wanting to write is probably going to be something in a language that I know, so I'm not even going to go down that line. I'm just going to build one very, very small. Oh, actually, we don't need to use the OneNote to color this in, actually. Let's go ahead and set up the highlight for the minimap server as well. Then we can just use that. So when I give the highlight box the class minimap UI, I want it to highlight the minimap UI. And what I'll do then is I'll just take everything that's specific to the positioning for the minimap UI, drop it in here, and that will allow me to make a copy of this that I'm going to call minimap server. And I'm going to come down here and change this to minimap server. And now when I refresh the page, nothing happens. And nothing happens because I just have two copies of the same rules here. 32 by whatever. So let's set up the coordinates for the server side. All right, we're going to call it 220 by 50. And the size is going to be 200 by 120. All right. Hey, how about that? All right. Okay, this is a little janky, but I don't actually have a way set up right now to get this into OBS yet, but we need to update OBS. So, hello again, screenshot tool. Okay, we take the new one, we drop it in. All right. Cool. Now we are free and clear to actually work on this server. Okay, so I'm going to want a web server that, to start off with, doesn't really do a darn thing other than serve a bunch of static files. So let's make one of those. All right, so here is the line to actually make a server come up and start working. This never returns except when there's an error, so I'm just going to pass its return value to log.fatal. And we are ready to start setting up the static file server. So let's see. I always get this wrong, so you're going to have to bear with me a little bit. My goodness, there's a lot of results for this. Okay, file server. This looks good. So we're going to do a file server. We're going to do an http.dir. Let's take a look at what that does. Okay. Let's take a look at where things are. All right, so that's where I am. Get child item gives me back the right files. These are like the static files that I just want to serve. So I'm going to select all of this and I'm going to make that my http.dir because that's where I want to serve files out of. Ah, yeah. Let's do one of these backtick strings so that we don't have to escape all those backslashes. And from here on in, it should just be a matter of running it. Oh, a brief moment while Go gets its toolchain in order. Okay, running it through VS Code in debug mode is asking for permissions that I don't want to give it. So let's run it from the command line here. Gonna go mod init this thing. Okay, so nonsense package name has been achieved. Now what happens? It's a good sign. I should really good. So if I come back to my browser now, hey, all right. And this time, if I bring up the developer tools, you'll see, yep, it's not just a static image. It is the actual HTML file. That's great. Now what that means is instead of putting minimap into OBS as an image, I'm going to put a better minimap in there. I didn't know that you couldn't reuse a name right away. In fact, let me just switch that over here. Now can I call it minimap? All right. So it was just the fact that I had studio mode on. That's all right. Let's see again. How big was this image? .730 by 519. Yeah, all right. That looks about right. You know, that's not bad. It's a little hard to read, but I think that's more my chicken scratch scrawl there than it is an actual problem with. Yeah, let me just minimize that. Let's take a look here. Yeah, it's not too bad. Once all of this stuff is going to be in some sort of legible typeface, I feel like that's going to be totally fine. Yeah, sure. Update. Okay. And with that, I think that it should be fine for me to now. Should be fine for me to now switch back to the UI. So what we're going to do here is change this to minimap UI. Going to hit refresh. Hey, all right. That's what, 2 components down? At this rate, we're going to be able to get through this whole thing in one stream.